Good morning, everybody. How are you? Welcome to another Monday Morning Mentor. I am Chad Thibodeaux. So glad that you guys are here. No matter where you're watching us from, whether you are in our night school program, our launch field program, the Speakpreneur program, whether you're watching us on Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook, or wherever you happen to be consuming this information, I just want to say thank you so much. We really love having you guys here and appreciate you coming on. And so in just about 10 seconds, I'm going to get going on our training today. But first, if you are watching this live, let me know who you are and where you're watching it from. And if you are interested in making a full-time living from the stage, I would absolutely love to be able to help you with that. And so a couple things that you have to know here is that I've got about 10 to 12 pages of notes that we're going to be working through today, and I'm only going to probably get to 2 or 3 of those. So do me a favor. All you have to do is put the word notes inside of the comments, and as soon as I'm done, I'll shoot you the notes. And if you'd like more information on how to become a full-time speaker or how to use the stage in order to get your business to a whole nother level, well, I'm happy to help you with that. Just shoot me a DM, and I'll send you a link. You can jump on my calendar, and you and I will have about a 30-minute conversation on how you can use the stage to be able to increase your revenue in your business. So thank you guys so much for being on here. And so I'm going to go ahead, and as you guys know, I'm going to wait 5 seconds. This is so my editor knows where to cut all this off at, and then we will get started. Here we go. All right, everybody, welcome to another... Oh, let me try that again. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Circle the Stage Framework. I'm Chad Thibodeaux, and today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you why a good circle or a good community is not just a group of people in proximity with each other. What it actually is, it's an environment that will multiply your identity, multiply your accountability, multiply your perspective, and most importantly, it multiplies your momentum. Now, here's what we know about money, okay? Money follows momentum, okay? In fact, any positive result ultimately follows momentum. So like if you're trying to lose weight, you know that the hardest part of losing weight is trying to get started, right? But once you get started and you begin seeing a few wins, well, the result will follow that particular momentum. And momentum is simply forward motion fueled by a series of wins. It's simply forward motion fueled by a series of wins. And I believe that the people you hang out with, the circle, the community, is what ultimately is going to drive the momentum into your business. And most people think about community, they think about connection, right? High-level people understand that community is not just about connecting with people, but it's about calibrating, okay? It's about calibrating. So recently I took my car into the mechanic because it was running incredibly rough, and he was telling me that certain parts of my car needed to be calibrated. So in other words, they were running out of sync with other things working in the car, and because of that, it was causing the car to stall. It was causing it to lose a lot of gas mileage. It was just causing it to not run very properly. So I brought it in and got my car calibrated, and holy smokes, the results were night and day. Like, it drove like a brand new car. And that's what community can do for you, because the people around you shape what you normalize. They influence what you tolerate. They reinforce what you believe is possible. And over time, they accelerate your growth, or they quietly cap your potential, either one, right? If you were teaching, if you're teaching a person, like as a business coach, okay? What you could do is you could tell them to go get more leads. You could tell them to get better at their expertise or at their craft, whatever. But I actually believe that one of the best things you can do in your business is to surround yourself with a really good circle, because that circle creates expansion, not exhaustion, okay? So when you are in the right circle, you leave conversations clearer, you leave them sharper, you leave them more focused, you leave more courageous than when you entered that particular circle. And what this circle does is it stretches your thinking instead of draining your energy. And this is why a bad circle will ultimately pull you backwards into gossip, insecurity, comparison, distraction, all of the emotional chaos. And you end up spending time on things that actually don't matter. But a good circle will ultimately call you higher, okay? Because a good circle tells the truth. And a good circle will not give you flattery, will not perform for you. They're not going to constantly affirm you. What they're going to do is they're going to be honest with you. And when you're doing things right, they're going to tell you. And when you're doing things wrong, they're going to tell you. And what you're looking for in a circle, and I'll show you how this get you to the stage in a minute. What you're looking for in a circle is you're looking for enough people to encourage you and challenge you, and that's where the ultimate protection is, right? So what I know in my business is if I only surround myself with yes people, with people who encourage me, they may protect me, but they're not going to challenge me, and I'm going to get bored from them, and then I'm going to stop listening to that encouragement, and then I'm going to get down. Or if I have only people who challenge me, who are always, no, don't do this, don't do that, then I'm going to get discouraged. And so what a good circle does is it brings balance to your encouragement and to your challenge, and what it does is it will not allow you to sabotage your calling while pretending to support you, okay? And so sometimes the most loving circle are people who can look you in the eye and say you're playing small. They can tell you that you're hiding. They can tell you that you're making excuses, or they can tell you that you're capable of more. And a good circle will value growth over comfort. Okay, that's what a good circle does. It makes you feel safe enough to be vulnerable, but strong enough to be held accountable. And that combination matters. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and share my screen, if that's okay. And I'm going to show you what a good circle does. Okay, I'm going to show you what a good circle does. Okay. So I'm going to see if I can draw a circle, because that's what we're talking about. Let me see if I get that to pop. Bam. And there's really 5 components of a solid circle, right? So like if you're trying to build a good community, build a good circle, there's really 5 components, and this is what a strong circle provides, okay? So the first thing is a strong circle provides vision. Okay? A strong circle provides vision. People think bigger together, okay? People think bigger together. So one of the things I like when I'm hanging out with my circle is as we brainstorm a little bit, we have a tendency to go forward, not backwards, and I love that, okay? And we think bigger. So what happens is I used to be the biggest thinker in my room, and I learned that when I'm the biggest thinker in my room, I have a tendency to always be pulling people toward me. But when I'm like middle of the pack, that I have people pulling me and I have people pushing me, and that's really what I want. And it allows me to think bigger. I was just talking with someone the other day about my current situation and my business and everything like that, and this particular person really challenged me and encouraged me to think much bigger. They're like, Chad, you're a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, and you're thinking like a 6, right? And it really got me thinking. So a good circle has vision. The second thing a good circle does, I'll just put these little things, there's 5 of them. The second thing a good circle does is it has validation. Now, I'm a good old Baptist preacher, so I like to alliterate here, or there we go. So it validates, okay? People feel seen, valued, and understood when they're in the right circle, okay? And you really need this. If you're going to be a coach or a consultant or some type of speaker, you need this validation, because public speaking is one of the biggest fears in the world, and you don't want to go up there without any type of validation. So being in a good circle brings that validation. The third one it does is it's what we call vulnerability. A good circle allows you to be vulnerable. Vulnerability. A good circle allows you to be vulnerable, okay? And vulnerability is important because if you can't be honest without fear, then you won't be honest. Okay? If you can't be honest without fear, then you can't be honest. Okay? And that's just the way it is. The fourth one is what we call value. The fourth one is what we call value, okay? The fourth component of a really good circle is people contribute, they don't just consume, okay? And so have you ever been in a community of people, and you always have this guy or gal coming in and all they do is pitch, or they'll jump into your DMs and all they do is pitch? And what that is that's people trying to consume. And in a good circle, and you're in a good circle when people contribute, they don't just consume. And the fifth one is what we call velocity, okay? Velocity. Okay, velocity is where you get the momentum. This is where people move faster because of shared momentum. And a good circle is a group of people who refuse to let you stay where you are. Okay, and that's a big deal. And if you have a circle of people that allow you to stay where you are, you need to exit that circle. But I also want to tell you that if you're in a circle and you're not building other people up, then you probably should exit a circle because you're the one bringing people down. And that's what I want to speak with you about today. Is I want to speak with you about today, like the circle to stage framework. I want to be able to help you figure this out. Like how do you use the stage to get more vision? How do you use the stage for validation? How do you use the stage for vulnerability? How do you use the stage for value, and how do you use it for velocity? And that is a really big deal. Okay, the idea is that if you do not have a vision when you get on stage, then you're going to have zero idea of what you want to talk about, okay? You're going to have zero idea what to say. So when you create a vision for your business and you're going to be speaking on stage, okay, the concept is that your vision allows you to know what to say, but your vision also allows you to know how to say it on a stage, and it allows you to say it in a way that elicits a response. Okay, so let me see if I can break that down. Okay, so for instance, when I get on stage, so I speak every week in multiple cities all around the country. Okay, and this week I'm going to be in Nashville, or excuse me, I'll be in Dallas. I'm going to be in Nashville. I was supposed to go to Toronto. That one just got pushed. And when I stand on stage, they pay me to speak on stage because I've got a vision that I am a speaker, but I also have a vision of what I want to happen with the particular audience that I'm in, okay? With the particular audience that I'm in. I have that vision. And because I have the vision of what I'm trying to say, then what happens is I can be incredibly clear because I know where I'm going. If I don't know where I'm going, then what's going to happen is I'm going to lose my audience, okay? And so one of the things, if I could help you figure out, like as a brand new speaker for some of you, is what do I want to become known for? What's the vision that I want to become known for, okay? And that's the biggest thing I think I could help you is like if you don't know what you want to become known for, then you're never going to be able to envision a vision or communicate a vision clear enough, okay? And I would say that one of the biggest reasons people stay stuck is because they surround themselves with individuals who normalize your limitation. Okay? And what a good vision does is it allows you to keep small thinking from becoming contagious because average expectations become acceptable. Over time, people unconsciously adjust their goals to match the environment around them. And I don't want you to do that. When you stand on stage, I want you to have a vision for yourself. I want you to have a vision for your audience. When you're doing coaching, I want you to have a vision for yourself, a vision for your audience. Okay? That's where I want you to go, okay? I'm sorry, I'm getting bombarded here by someone very important in my life, my children, and so I need to reply to them. But you have to have a vision. You have to have a vision for where you want to go. Now here's where a vision will help you, okay? When you have a vision, when you stand on the stage, then you have certain knowledge that you know you want to share. You have certain opportunities that you know you want to share, okay? And what you know is with a vision, you can go to the end in mind. So typically on a stage, you're gonna start with your pitch and you're gonna work backwards, okay? So the vision is, for instance, like when I stand on stage, I know that I want to help people become highly paid, well-known, and in-demand speakers. Okay, I know that's what I want for them. Okay, so if I know that my vision for that stage is to help people become highly paid, well known, and in demand, then all of my content, okay, all of my content then can be. All of my content then can be aligned in such a way that helps him do those things, right? So, what is your vision for your stage? So, I know that I want you to become highly paid, well known, and in demand. So, then that's my framework. So, the first thing is like, okay, how do you become highly paid as an entrepreneur or as a speaker? And so I know that as an entrepreneurial speaker standing on a stage, the best way to get highly paid is to run an event. So I know I'm going to put that in my talk. Okay, well known. Okay, I know that the best way to get well known is not through advertisement, is not through all the lead magnets and all this stuff. What I know the best way to get well known is by creating a book or having a book, because people want you on podcasts when you have a book. You have something to promote. Okay, and then in demand, I also know that the best way to become an in-demand speaker is to become known for one thing. So highly paid, you're going to own your own event. Okay, well known, we're going to write you a book. And in demand, okay, you're going to become known for one thing, and that's how we're going to elevate your expertise. So when I create a vision for my talk, then I know those are the three things that I'm trying to communicate, and those are the things that I want to be able to speak on. Those are the things I want for my audience, but I also know that that's also what I sell at the end. So my vision is aligned. So if you're going to create a circle to stage framework, you know that it starts with vision. What do you want for yourself? What do you want for your audience? So I'm going to just take those three again. So if I want them to become highly paid, I have to ask myself, how do they become highly paid? And I throw a stone at getting paid to speak, because that's actually a way to stay broke, is getting paid to speak. But owning your stage is a way to make a ton of money. So if you're going to become highly paid, you're going to own your stage. Second thing is, if you're going to become well known, then the best way to become well known is by creating a book. Okay, by writing a book, and then running traffic by creating a book funnel so more people see that book. And the third thing is if you're going to become in demand, then become known for one thing and get people a result for that one thing. And you become the heart specialist, not the general practitioner. And when you become a specialist, people want you more than when you become average. Okay, so those are the three things. So it all starts with a vision. Okay, the second thing, then, as we talked about, the second part of your circle is validation. You need a community of people. You need a community of people who are going to help validate, who help validate your idea, okay? And your circle reinforces your belief, okay? Many people have the skill to speak, but they lack the confidence to step into visibility. And what the right circle reminds you is that your voice matters. Your story has value, and your message deserves to be heard, okay? We were just in Florida not too long ago, and we did a small event, big profit. And what I loved about that particular circle was there were so many people who had question marks about whether their message was strong enough, whether their message was clear, whether their message helped people. And by communicating that message within the right circle, it validated their confidence, okay? Or it validated that they needed to go in a different direction, okay? And what I find is validation creates confidence, confidence creates action, and action is what creates opportunities. And sometimes it just takes one person saying, hey, you should be on more stages, or hey, people need to hear that message, okay? Because if it's not validated, if your message isn't validated, then you don't know whether it works or not. And being in the right circle, not with people who are just going to blow smoke up your skirt, but being in the right circle with people who will give you an honest evaluation of your message, that's really what you need. And one of the things that we provide in our program is we surround you with really solid people in your circle who's going to help validate your confidence or validate your message or invalidate it. Okay, one of the great things that I saw this past week was there was a particular person who was trying to be a little too cute on stage. And the circle surrounded themselves and said, you know what? Like you have a message that actually resonates with people, but when you do this, it actually separates people from your message. And that's what solid validation does. So what you need to do is you need to start with vision, and then you go with validation. The third one is vulnerability. Vulnerability. This is where your circle creates space for growth, okay? You've got to consistently be growing as a speaker. You have to consistently be growing as an entrepreneur. And growth happens faster when people can be honest. Okay? And what a strong circle does is it creates environments where speakers can ask questions, they can test ideas, they can receive feedback, and they can improve themselves without fear of judgment. I remember when I first got into the stand-up comedy scene, that was really hard because I didn't know if I was any good or not, right? Because I would invite a ton of friends and family to watch me speak, and I always got, people clapping, and they would always give me a standing ovation at the end of my comedy set. But at the end of the day, I didn't know if I was any good or not. So what I did was I joined a group called the New Faces of Comedy. And it was like a glorified but really high-end open mic, right? Where you had to bring so many people in order to get on a big stage, but you got on a big stage and you were able to communicate. And what I learned about that was when 90% of the audience was not there for you, they were there, like, prove to me that you're good or whatever. That particular circle gave me better feedback than a circle that was very biased, okay? And so when I would stand up on stage and I would try to joke out with my people, the joke would land. But when I tried to joke out with people who didn't know me and it flopped and failed, that would give me the proper feedback that I would need in order to know where to improve or where to cut. And so then I joined another circle where I was surrounded by the same 12 comedians, and we would do these little tours, these 12 comedians. And what was happening is in that circle, we created vulnerability, and we said, hey, listen, tell me if my stuff is good, tell me if my stuff sucks. You're not going to hurt my feeling. And so one of the rules of that circle was communicate honestly, don't get your feelings hurt. Okay? Communicate honestly, don't get your feelings hurt. And when I was in that circle, then I actually got the best refinement on my content because these people were really, really there to try to help me. And so that's what I want you to think. If you're going to go from circle to stage, you have to know that you have to have a vision, you have to have validation, and you have to have a group of people who will be vulnerable. The fourth one is what we call value. Okay, value. Okay, value is incredibly important because your circle grows through contribution. And the most influential people in any community are usually the people adding the most amount of value. They support others, they make introductions, they share opportunities, they encourage people, and they contribute consistently. Okay, now watch this. Notice that I put value as the fourth component. So vision, validation, vulnerability, and then value. Okay? One of the things that you have to be careful of is you don't want to be in a group because of the value they provide. Because what I learned is, like, when I want to speak on a stage and I'm in a community of people, that circle typically helps me get on stage because they know me, they like me, they trust me, and they will help me get on stages, okay? But if I'm not careful, the only thing I will use that circle for is to get on stages. So what I've learned is I have to have a vision, I have to have validation, and I have to be vulnerable. So I have to not just get my message validated, but I have to validate others. I have to not just be vulnerable, but I have to create a safe place so other people can be vulnerable. I have to not just take value, but I have to give value. And what I learned is the people who give the most value get the most value. And in the speaking industry, opportunities often flow toward people who make rooms better. I want you to write that down. In the speaking industry, opportunities often flow toward people who make rooms better. And if you make rooms better, you will get on more stages. Okay? If you become valuable to your circle becomes valuable to your growth. And so one of the keys here is contribution creates connection, and connection creates opportunity. So I want you to surround yourself with people, and I want you to add massive value. So let's just put this in perspective. So let's say that you get invited to speak on a podcast stage, okay? Let's say you get invited to speak on a podcast stage, and that happens often. Well, one of the things with podcasts is a lot of times we do podcasts because we're trying to get in front of a brand new audience. So we'll use the podcast to gain something, and that's to gain a brand new audience. But if you don't have a vision for that podcast, if you don't validate the person who's hosting the podcast, if you aren't vulnerable and you're not authentic on the podcast, and you're only using the podcast to add your value, then what's going to happen is value will then be removed from you. You'll end up with less chips than you started. Okay, if you're playing poker, the goal is to get more chips. right? And if you go on a podcast or TV show or whatever, and you're just simply there to take, you'll end the day with less than you started. And so what you have to do is you have to add value. So when I get invited on a podcast, I don't ever say, can I pitch? I don't ever say, hey, how can I give all my stuff away? Okay, I don't do that. What I do is I ask the podcast host, how can I serve you the most? What will help you the most? What will move the ball down the field the most? What will help you get more clients? What will help you get more sales? So I switch it because I'm opposite of most podcast guests. Most podcast guests are there to sell something, okay? And I have learned that when I get on a podcast, if I go with the understanding and idea that I'm trying to help the person hosting the podcast, that by me adding value to them, it comes back to me tenfold, okay? This is why the Bible says in Luke 6:38, they give, and it will be given unto you a good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Because when you add value, when you give value, okay, then good things come back to you. Now, what is value? Value is not you speaking. Value is not you sharing information. What value is you communicating help in the manner that the audience that's listening to you needs the help. Okay, so for instance, if I go in and say, hey, how many of you guys want to learn how to get high-paid speaking gigs? And you raise your hand. Now, I want to learn how to get high-paid speaking gigs. And all I do is go on there and tell you my story, my concepts, my ideas, but I really never help you get high-paid speaking gigs, then what good was it, right? I didn't really add value. Okay, even if that's how I got a high-paid speaking gig, if you can't replicate that and duplicate that, then you may have learned my story, but it did not add any value to you. So value is always through the lens of the person you're adding value to. If they believed it was helpful, if they believed it was value, then you added value. If they don't believe it was helpful, if they don't believe that you added value, then you didn't add any value. You just simply wasted everybody's time. Okay, and so value is being able to communicate clearly a message through the lens that your audience can perceive it, apply it, and get transformation. That's what true value is, okay? And so that's why Circle the Stage is you have to be able to add massive value. So for instance, this Wednesday I'm going to go speak with my buddy Akbar in Dallas, okay? Why did Akbar ask me to come speak with him in Dallas? Is it just because I'm a warm body? No. It's because when you go back over on how to take your circle and move it to a stage, is I have massive vision for what I'm trying to do in business and what I'm trying to do on stage. I have validated him multiple times. I taught him a concept of how to make a lot of money on a stage, and he did that, and it validated it. Okay, I've been vulnerable and honest with him. He's been vulnerable and honest with me. I've been vulnerable with his audience. He's been vulnerable with my audience. Okay, and then I've added a massive amount of value to him, and he's added a massive amount of value to me. And because of that, now I can go after velocity. Now I can go after movement, okay? And that's really what it's about. And what happens is because he's in my circle and I'm in his circle, now this velocity is what will, or excuse me, the circle is what accelerates my velocity and accelerates momentum. And one relationship can ultimately change everything. And the right introduction can lead to a speaking gig. The right collaboration can increase your visibility. The right mentor can shorten your learning curve. The right room can create years of momentum. And what I learned is isolation will slow your growth, whereas community accelerates your growth. This is why your circle matters, because I don't know anything that creates velocity in your business, or creates velocity in your exposure, or creates velocity in your authority, or creates velocity in your credibility, or creates velocity in your bottom line more than being in the right circle, being in the right group of people. If you're in the right group of people who have vision, validation, vulnerability, value, then velocity comes, okay? Then velocity comes. And your next stage is often connected to your next relationship. So what I want to encourage you is I'm going to invite you to ask you, like, who is in your circle? Who's in your circle? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Okay? Who are you surrounding yourself with? And so we have got a community here in the program that I'm with. So I partner with Speakpreneur. Okay, so my Cavu coaching is partnered with Speakpreneur, and one of the things I love about Speakpreneur is although my Cavu community is amazing for business owners, Speakpreneur is amazing for people trying to take their business knowledge and get paid on stage. And what I'm learning about this community is there is a vision for it. Okay, get in this community, rub shoulders with people that will validate you, that you can be vulnerable with, and will be vulnerable with you, that what you can add value to, they can add value to you, and then together you can get massive momentum. You can get the velocity that you need. And so I want to put you in this community. Okay, I want you as a business owner to be in the Speakpreneur community with me. Okay, with my Cavu folks, because if you can be in there, then you talk about podcast opportunities, you're going to get a ton of them. You talk about stage opportunities, you're going to get a ton of them, okay? In fact, I have a community that you can join where if you wanted to be on stage, I'm talking stages of hundreds, 100 to 300 people, and you wanted to be on that stage once or twice a month, I could get you on that stage once or twice a month. Imagine having your message, communicating it clearly, on a stage between 100 and 300 people that somebody else got there, okay? Where they had a vision, they validated you, they allowed you to be vulnerable, you had a massive amount of value, and then you could ask them to buy from you, and so you can get velocity. Imagine being on that stage twice a month. Imagine that. Imagine having 2 to 3 top 10% interviews on podcasts each and every week, where you were able to create a vision, share validation, be vulnerable, add value, create velocity in your business 2 to 3 times per week. So you're on a stage of 1 to 300 people twice a month, and 2 to 3 times per week you're being interviewed on a podcast all around the country. Okay, top 10% podcasts in your particular industry that we found for you, we booked for you, so you didn't have to worry about that. Imagine that. Imagine being part of a community where you created an offer and they validated that offer for you. So then when you presented that offer, maybe even people in that community bought your offer. Or maybe somebody in that community has an offer that you need and you could buy. Save you a ton of time. Imagine being a part of that community. Imagine being a part of the community that you could speak on stage once to twice per month. You could be interviewed on top 10% podcasts 3 to 5 times each and every week. Okay? How about being part of a community that would help you write a book? Okay, help you write a book. I'm not talking about, your big signature book. I'm talking about a book that you can become well known incredibly quickly. I'm talking in the next 90 days, have that thing up and running and polished and published in the next 90 days. So now you talk about validation. When you're on that stage, now you have validation. You don't just have vision, but now you got validation because your book is making you an authority and a credible author before you even open your mouth. Okay, imagine being in a community that allows you to do that. Okay, imagine being a part of a community that loves you so much that is going to encourage you, instead of just speaking on our stage, let's build your own stage. Let's get 100 people in the room for you. Okay, so when you stand up there, you are the big fish, you are the big man on campus. And imagine being a part of a community that had all the skill set, all the talent, all the tools, everything that you needed to be able to help you pull off your event. Put AV people with you, put admin people with you, had ads teams that filled up your event, the whole 9 yards. Imagine being part of that community that loved you so much that you ended up creating your own event. Imagine being a part of a community that cared for you so much, that was willing to look at you and talk with you and say, you know what, your message isn't very clear. We have to get your message clear. We have to get your offer clear. You know what, you're a decent communicator, but your communication skills need to be better. Hey, your keynote is okay, but it needs to go from okay to average, and from average to above average, from above average to excellent. Imagine having having a community that loves you so much that would help you do that. That's what we do. And so what I want to encourage you to do is take my circle to stage framework. Okay, understand you have to have vision. You have to have validation. You have to have vulnerability. You have to have value. You have to have velocity. Get yourself in a circle that provides that for you, okay? And what you'll find is when you get in that circle then will move you from that circle to massive stages. That stage could be a live audience. That stage could be a webinar audience. That stage could be a podcast audience. That stage could be a book audience. That stage could be radio interviews. But get in that circle and watch what happens. So, folks, I want to help you. I want to be your coach. I want to be able to take your message and get it out to the masses by putting you in the proper circle. Okay, proximity is power. Okay, proximity is power. So you need a platform. You need proximity. Okay, and you need a pitch, right? Those are the 3 P's that you need in order to become incredibly wealthy as a speaker. It all starts with your circle. What circle are you in? I want to put you in a circle. We have about 1,100 people in our Speakpreneur circle. Okay, in our inner circle, we have about 60 to 70 people in our inner circle. We call it a circle for a reason. Okay, because it does all the things that we just talked about. You need to be in that circle. Why aren't you? Shoot me a DM. Get on the phone with me. Let me have a conversation with you about where you are in business, and let me help you find the proper circle that matches where you are to get you places to where you want to go. Anyway, I hope this was helpful to you. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. God bless you, and I will see you next time on another training here on the Monday Morning Mentor.